Hello friends. So, in this video, I don't know if I'm going to lose lots of followers, maybe. I'm going to talk about Christianity. So, I was brought up a Christian, a Catholic actually, and I still consider myself to be a Catholic. I don't think there's any point in jumping, although I know I talk a lot all the time about Advaita Vedanta, and I'm interested in Buddhism and Kashmiri Shaivism and Sufism, and all these different things. I don't think I would ever say I'm not a Christian, because it's partly your culture. And going to another religion, I think what would happen is you go to another religion and you discover all the bad things there. So I'm not going to shave my head and become a Buddhist. I'm always going to be a Christian. And but I think that the other religions all lead to the same truth. So there we go. So I'll get in trouble with the Christians, probably some Christians anyway. I'm sure I don't know, I'm not going to say the more enlightened Christians probably maybe are not the type to, I don't know, I don't want to go into it, to attack too much. It's, so now, can Christians get into non-duality? Well, you have to. Basically, you have to. There's the only solution. In today's world, there is no way an intelligent, modern person can take seriously what other people are telling you about some God who they've had contact with, and they tell you what you have to do. We are not going to accept it. We need personal proof. We need to be able to apply it like a scientific. If you tell me that there's a God, then I need to see that there's a God. And when I see, then I'll believe you. So in Christianity, all of this faith, there's a God out there, and he's all powerful. And here I am, and I'm vulnerable and weak, but the thing is that I'm real, for sure. And God, we don't know yet, do we? So first, I think, before you seriously take on any sort of approach to any sort of religion, you need to either be gifted with some sort of faith, be touched in some way, have a mystical experience maybe, but even then, after the mystical experience, you go back and think, well, was it real? So through Advaita Vedanta, through this non-duality, through this self-inquiry, we can find what God is. So you start from where you are. Don't start from some imaginary place over there. You start from where you are, and you find, what is this? What exactly is going on? And through Advaita Vedanta, through self-inquiry, we can find the divinity in ourselves, in the universe. We see first that we're not the body, we're not the mind, all this. We are the awareness. Now, the awareness is the subject. The subject has nothing to do with any of the world. The subject is outside time and space. The subject is basically God. It is the material cause of everything. It's what everything's made out of, like in a dream. Everything is constantly being produced. In the dream, if one snooker ball hits another snooker ball, that snooker ball doesn't cause the other snooker ball to move. Everything is caused every moment in the dream by you, by the dreamer. And that's what's going on. Everything is being held in God and created by God as the material cause. There's lots of different causes. Aristotle's, I think it was Aristotle's causes, well, there's different causes. But the material cause is the one that wood is the material cause of the table. It's wood that makes the table a table. There's other causes, like there's the form makes the table a table. And then there's the efficient cause, where the person who makes the table makes the table. And then there's the cause that kind of pulls the creation of the table. So the guy needed a table because he's going to have he wants to have dinner on his table. So the kind of this plan for the future for having dinner created the table. So we are the material cause of everything, like in a dream. We are the dream itself. We're nothing in the dream, but we are the dream itself. We cannot be found in the dream. Now, this is what God is. And this is, it's not just me saying this. This is a definition of God as the ground of being, existence itself. This comes from Christian mystics, Meister Eckhart, God is the ground of being. And he was a Christian bishop, he saw that the Godhead, the ground of being, Brahman, in Advaita Vedanta, is even deeper than the God with form. So the Godhead is a God without form, the Niguna Brahman. And the Trinity is the God with form, maybe, more or less. Now, when we realize what God is, when we see the divinity in the moment, then we know what they're talking about in church. Then, when you walk along the street and you see a church, you don't see, this is this terrible organization that through thousands of years oppressed people and, through controlling their souls and making them afraid and power and torture and burning people at the stakes. What you see, or what I see, is a monument to the divine. Like, I'm interested in the divine. I want to find the divine in every moment, in myself, in everybody I see, in the world. And when I see a church, I think somebody's built a big, big building to honor this thing that's transcendent and immanent. So I think it's necessary, in fact, for Christians. If you wanted to be serious about believing it, then you can't then do it this way. Find the divinity, find the thing that is eternal, the unlimited, find it, and then you'll know what you're praying to. Instead of some concept that you've created or that somebody else has created and you've got in your head as a concept, and I'm going to pray to this concept. It's not, it's just a concept. So we find God in ourselves. And a lot of this stuff that in non-duality, it comes back to a lot of the cliches that we have in Christianity, that God's inside you, etc. Now, I'm going to be really heretical now. As it's Easter Sunday, I'm going to talk about the crucifixion and the resurrection. Or maybe not. But now, when we look at God was made man, yeah? So, in Jesus Christ, I'm talking. So, we see Jesus Christ on the cross. Now, in Advaita Vedanta, that I get from Swami Savripananda, who belongs to the order of Ramakrishna. Yeah, so Ramakrishna is an incarnation of God, in the same way that Jesus Christ is an incarnation of God. Ramakrishna prayed to the Mother. He saw the Divine Mother as God, in the same way that Jesus Christ prayed to the Father. So there's some similarities there. And so, but when I started listening to Swami Savripananda, I understood very well that we are God. You are God. That's what the thing that's looking out of your eyes is not the person, of course, because the person is part of the dream, part of the world. But what's really you, what's looking through your mind, what's looking from outside time and outside space is God. Now, it is, because it's outside time and space, there's only one thing, because there's no separation in space, there's no separation in time. And therefore, what's looking out every single person's eyes is the same light. It's the light of the world. It is the thing that illuminates everything. It is the salt of the earth. It's the thing that gives flavor to everything. It's you. You are that. And but Swami Sarvapriyananda and the Ramakrishna order also talk about Sri Ramakrishna as being an incarnation of God different to how we are God. So it's, I think, slightly technical, but it was different. So him as in a body and Jesus Christ in a body is not the same as me in a body. So it's not, I'm not saying that I'm like Jesus. Jesus was God completely, and you can see it like I heard there was, Sri Ramakrishna explained that there's a wall with a gate. Now, the incarnation is the gate. On the other side of the gate, you can see God. So the vast expanse is God. Now, the earth, the world, is the wall, and shaped out of the earth, shaped out of the wall, is the hole, the door. And through the door, you see the whole of God. So that's what an incarnation is. And apparently things like, you know, the Ramakrishna could see people's previous lives and all these things. So basically, the idea is that the incarnation is not the same as us, okay? So that's one thing. I'm not saying that I'm God or that you're God. I am actually saying that we're all God. But James is not God, okay? Watch. There you go. Nothing happened. Now, so, but the interesting thing, I think, so God the Father, or even you could say Brahman, the even deeper ground of being, became man. Now, when we see Christ on the cross, crucified Christ, he gave up his life to, for our sins and all of this. Now, these things, because I grew up as a Catholic, we went to church a lot, and these things don't mean much to me anymore. These phrases as they repeat just mean nothing. When you go to a sermon and the priest and some old guy is just blah, 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 just coming out with these cliches, it doesn't mean anything to me. I don't even, and I'm interested in spirituality. But God became man. Now, God was sacrificed on the cross. You could see this as an analogy for letting go of the ego. Now, I am not God, but in order to realize that I am Brahman, I have to maybe not destroy the ego, but let go of the ego, stop associating with the person and associate with existence itself. Now, so in some ways, you sacrifice the person in order to become God. Now, here I am, a person, and we see Christ, Jesus Christ, sacrificed and is God. So we sacrifice ourselves, give up the ego or give up the separate self, and we realize that we are the nature of existence. We are the ultimate reality. We are God itself. And until we make this switch from identifying with the body to identifying with everything, with existence itself, we can't do it. We might, until we make that step, we will always be tied to this. Now, I have spoken in other videos that I think actually part of the idea that we have here is that we should be enjoying the world. After enlightenment, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. We've got to enjoy it. Once we realize that we're completely safe, once we realize who we really are, then we can relax. And I think it's interesting that God became man, and then man had to be sacrificed in order not really to become God, because Jesus Christ was always God. But that's what we have to do. And when we see that, Christ on the cross, we shouldn't think about, history, oppression, all this dogma. But we should think about, this is what we're here. This is what I want to do. I want to union with God in a non-dual sense, to become, to discover what we really are. And that's the idea. Tatvamasi, you are that. So I think that as much as there's all this sectarianism within Christianity, Christian groups hate other Christian groups, and, Christian groups, I think they hate each other more than they hate the secular people, to be honest. But there is something, and I think that Christians like me, who are brought up as Christians, and it's an important part, that because we have a connection to God that we were taught from very little, our parents telling us that God will help us and God will look after us, and I think it's something that I think it can help us and can satisfy something that we need. And some people may see this as it's just, I needed to believe in God, so I got interested in non-duality, so I have an idealism, so I have kind of scientific, philosophical ways that I can actually support it and argue against materialism and secularism. But that's what I've found works. And so I think it's good. I think it's something that is needed. Although, of course, Christianity is a dualistic religion, so you wouldn't hear the Pope saying this stuff. But there's a lot of mysticism, a lot of contemplative Christians. Thomas Merton, Meister Eckhart, St. John of the Cross, Teresa of Avila, and some modern ones like Richard Rowe, who I'm not so interested in, who talk about this and who see this. And David Bentley Hart as well. He wrote a book, God, the Experience of God, Existence, Consciousness and Bliss, which is basically the definition from Advaita Vedanta, and he's an orthodox theologian. So there you go. If you're a Christian, feel free to get into non-duality. And if you're not, I'm sorry I was talking about Christianity for this video, but it is Easter. Thank you.